So, executing a warrant to enter the home of a former president with guns, chase out his lawyers, and search the place is the single most reckless and stupid thing I have ever seen a political party do. And if there's a civil war in this country, which God forbid, we do not want there to be a civil war, it will have begun with this. This is enough to start people on that road. It could be 20 years from now, but when historians write about it, they will start with this stupid move. It's reckless. And let me talk about why I feel that I have a special authority to talk about this, all right? More than once, someone has written into either the mailbag or to me personally or somehow gotten their question on the air and said, when is Hillary Clinton going to be brought to justice and sent to jail? Hillary Clinton is a career criminal. She has done terrible, terrible things. Among them, putting classified documents on her private cell phone and then destroying the evidence when the FBI investigated. As you recall, this was called carelessness by James Comey, and he said doing the job of the Department of Justice, he announced there was not going to be a prosecution, even though that was not for him to decide. Now they go in and raid. And so people would say to me, you've written to me and said, when is she going to come to justice? When are we going to put her in jail? And I said repeatedly, even though some of you got mad at me, I said, we don't want that to happen. We do not want our political opponents put in jail. We don't want to investigate and criminalize our politics. It is a bad, bad thing to do. And I'll tell you why in just a minute, but it's for the exact same reason why I've condemned January 6th repeatedly. Even though you tell me, oh, it was an FBI setup, or yes, it should have been done, or Trump didn't have anything to do with it. No, Trump didn't denounce it, and I've condemned it repeatedly. Why? I condemned it because it made us look like exactly what the left, the operatives on the left, say we are. This is not, okay? This is not, whether we like it or not. Remember, politics is about things that happen whether we like them or not. Politics works in a certain way, just like the economy. The left wants to say, oh, we're going to do the economy this way, but the economy doesn't work that way, so they always ruin the economy. We have to understand politics is the same way. It works in certain ways whether we like it or not. This is not a country with one side in it. This is a country with two sides in it, divided down the middle. There are radicals on both sides and sensible people in the middle on both sides, but it's divided down the middle, right and left. A reasonable respect for our opponents, our fellow citizens who disagree with us, who aren't radicals, who aren't Nancy Pelosi, who aren't AOC, who aren't corrupt politicians, but are just people who vote Democrat because that's how their fathers voted or they think it's nicer than voting Republican, however they do it. But they're honest, decent, hardworking American people who happen to vote for the other party. A decent respect for that, for them, makes it necessary for us to behave in such a way that they don't believe the far left people like Nancy Pelosi and AOC who are telling them that we're monsters and Nazis and fascists and racists and all those things. I know you think that everybody is like that on the left, but it's not true. The majority of people on the left are normal people who vote Democrat for the same reason normal people on the right vote Republican, all kinds of different reasons. I'm a reasonable person. And when I see the DOJ charge in to the house of a former president, a duly elected president. He was duly elected by the laws of this country. There is no excuse for saying he was not the president or that Hillary Clinton secretly won or that Russia colluded with him. It's all nonsense. He was a duly elected president. And when they go in to his house, when they didn't go in to Hillary Clinton's house, when she bleached her phones with BleachBit, a program that wipes her phones and hammered them so that you couldn't get any information. They didn't go in with him, and then they send armed men to search his house. Unless he's hiding a literal militia in there, unless he's training a militia to organize the overthrow of the government. Now they're leaking stuff to the press, which is making Trump laugh. Oh, he had nuclear papers in there. Unless he had an actual bomb in there. This has not been done in the 232 years of this republic. They shouldn't have done it now. And I want to make it clear, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. You know I have problems with him, but I also love some of the stuff he did. I don't care about Donald Trump. This has nothing to do with him. To do something this reckless, this stupid, this inherently violent in a country so divided and so on edge, it's an admission not just of failure, but of utter failure, a desperation aspiration to hold on to power long after the justification of your holding that power is way, way gone. There is a famous Edgar Allan Poe story. I don't know if people read Poe anymore. He was a wonderful, wonderful writer, wonderful poet, wonderful short story writer. And he wrote a very frightening story called The Telltale Heart. It's a great story. Here's what it's about. The narrator is a madman. He's had an illness, he's gone insane, and he's works for as a private secretary, or he somehow lives with this old man. And this old man has a weird eye. He has a bulging, filmy eye. And the madman, the narrator of this thing, is so terrified of this eye that he decides he's going to kill the old man. And one day, he sees this guy's eye in the middle of the night, and he smothers the old man and kills him, dismembers his body, and hides it under the floorboards. Well, the old man screams once before he can kill him, and the neighbors call the police, and the police come over. And the police are interviewing the narrator, the murderer, and the murderer is as cool as he can possibly be, and he's fooling the police, and the police are totally fooled when suddenly he begins to hear thump, 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 thump. He hears the dead man's heart beating under the floorboards. And the thump, thump gets louder and louder and louder, thump, 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 until he believes the cops must hear it too, and they're just making fun of him, pretending to believe him, and he finally confesses, and he tears up the floorboards, and he takes out the heart, and he says, here it is, here is the beating of this hideous heart. And now when people read this horror story by Edgar Allan Poe, and they always say, well, the heartbeat is the sound of his guilt. And yes, that's true. But you have to remember he killed this guy because of that eye staring at him. So just the fact that he was being seen ignited enough guilt for him to do the murder in the first place. Something about himself, he hated himself so much that just the prospect of this eye looking at him. Donald Trump is a perfect metaphor for this. Donald Trump has many flaws. He made many mistakes, especially in that last year of the presidency when he let Fauci take over and he shut down the economy. Many mistakes. He was not a perfect guy. But that's not why he drove the Democrats insane. He drove the Democrats insane because of the fearlessness with which he pointed out their corruption and their malfeasance when he talked about the things that they did. Remember, just like the eye staring at this guy and driving him mad, they went mad before Trump had ever done anything. The Steele dossier, the phony dossier that they used to launch that stupid fake hoax investigation into Russian collusion, was gathered during the campaign, not afterwards. He already had driven them insane. Comey went and briefed him about the Steele dossier and all that, the P-tape and all that stuff, all that fake stuff, so that the information could be leaked to the press before Trump took office. They already knew, before Trump did anything, they already knew that a man like this, who said whatever he wanted, who had no break on his tongue, who had no discipline, no political discipline, and wasn't one of them, was going to expose them for what they are, the incredible failures, the incredible creeping state that has taken over our freedoms and essentially nullified our Constitution. They knew the minute they saw him that he was trouble for them and was getting in the way of that slow, blob-like spread of the deep state. You know, I have this thesis that I talk about a lot, that a lot of our troubles in this moment are due to the internet, right? The internet has brought about the spread of information, the democratization of information, so that we can see in front of us how bad our leaders are, how self-interested they are, how unwedded to the Constitution that they've sworn to protect they are. We can see them now. We can see their failures. We can see all the bad things they've done, and they want it to stop. They want to censor us on Twitter, on Facebook, everything. They want the control of information back so we can't see what they were doing, and Trump was the end of that. Trump just said, I'm going to say everything. The press is corrupt. I'm not going to pretend they're not corrupt. I'm not going to pretend that they're not left-wingers, left-wing activists pretending to be journalists. I'm going to say what has to be said. The great society of that the Democrats love and they feed off those welfare programs and that money, it has failed to elevate the underclass. And now when they call us racist, we say, no, it's you. You did this. You destroyed the black family. You addicted people to welfare. You're the people who keep people down if they don't have the natural get up and go to work their way out of poverty. You are the ones who have crushed them over your crappy welfare programs that you feed off of, that you buy votes with. You're the ones who addicted them to this. Not just black people, white people too. Poor whites too are also have had their families destroyed by this stuff. When you close the schools because you were kowtowing to your corrupt teachers' unions, parents could actually watch those same corrupt teachers corrupting their children with their sexual perversion. And when they complained about it, the those same corrupt unions complained to the DOJ, and instantly, Merrick Garland said, oh yeah, we'll investigate them and see if they're terrorists, see if mom and dad are terrorists. We've seen Anthony Fauci lie in real time. It's all right there, and they want that hideous eye that is watching them to go away. And now that they have chased Trump out of power, now that they have gotten Trump out of power, he is like the sound of the telltale heart. They hear him coming back. They're so afraid of him. They see the people he's endorsing rising, and they want him to stop. It's like, you know, in the story, it's thump, 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 thump. It's Trump, 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 Trump. That's all they hear. And they've made this terrible, terrible mistake that something would happen in Argentina, something that would happen in a two-bit dictatorship where one party raids the other party. And again, remember, when you said, oh, they should do this to Hillary Clinton, I said, no, that is not how we operate. We have our arguments at the ballot box, and we settle them by voting, not by criminalizing the police. But the Democrats can't stand it because they fail at everything, and we can see them, and Trump says that they fail, and he says that they lie, and they cannot stand the beating of that hideous heart. Trump, 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 Trump. They can't stand it. Trump, of course, seized on this immediately for a fundraiser, and here is a video he put out talking about what he felt about the country. This is cut 7.
We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for oil. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. We're a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. We've never seen anything like this. We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is about all you get. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before, where the economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020.
Now, you can say anything you want about that ad. You can say it's cynical. You can say he's raising money. You can say he's being opportunistic. But there's one thing you can't say about that ad. You can't say it's untrue. It is all true. These guys have ruined everything they touch. They have abused their power. They've abused it in the press. The press is full of liars. The press is just as corrupt as the administration is. The internet has exposed them, and they feel themselves losing their grasp on power. This is an aging, sclerotic regime that feels its power slipping away, and all they hear when they look at Donald Trump is Trump, 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 Trump. He's coming to get them, and now they have made a stupid, reckless, violent mistake. This is a dumb thing to do. And again, I don't care what Trump has done. I don't care whether he's broken the law. I don't care whether he has classified papers. This is not the way we deal with this in this country, but it is now, and that's on them. Do you want more Klavan-y goodness? You know you do. So like and subscribe to the Andrew Klavan Podcast.